Alright guys, today we're going to do a high-level video of Fundrise, and this is going to be kind of general information about Fundrise to get you more familiar with what Fundrise is and what type of investments you can get through Fundrise. And tomorrow we're actually going to go over to the computer and we're going to dig into my Fundrise account. I've had it about 2.5, 3 years. I started in the middle of a year, some point middle to early part of the year. So we'll take a look at what kind of returns I obtained over those 2.5, 3 years, how much was income, how much was growth, the type of projects specifically they invest in, things like that. But today's going to be more high level. We're just going to look at general information about Fundrise and who it's good for, things like that. Alright, so Fundrise invests in private market real estate. And what is private market real estate? It's really real estate that you can't go and invest in, say, through a REIT on the stock market. It's not, those projects aren't obtaining funds through banks and things like that. They're generally projects that are either not big enough for traditional large real estate funding, and they're not small enough for individual private lenders funding. So they go to a place like Fundrise to obtain funds, but it's kind of a specialty niche that Fundrise invests in, is these projects that really don't fit in any other category of traditional lending. The stated returns for Fundrise is between 8.7 and 12.4%. And they have different funds you can invest in. So a growth fund is a little bit more aggressive, similar to like a growth mutual fund. A little bit more aggressive, a little bit higher returns. You're going to see it on this end of the scale. On the other side, there's an income Fundrise fund that is primarily you're going to receive dividends, and that's going to be on the lower side of the scale. They also have a balanced account that falls in the middle. So we'll take a look. I'm actually in the balanced fund, and we'll take a look how it's done. It's really, it does fall within this range, and there's some little quirks to how it's reported, and we'll go over that tomorrow. All right, so how do you make money with Fundrise? There's two parts. There's dividends, so your income from Fundrise, and those are just like dividends you get from a single stock or anything like that. You can have those paid out to your bank account, or you can have them reinvested. I flip-flop. Some years I have them reinvested, other times I have it jump out to my bank account. You can do whatever fits your objectives. The capital gains, so those are when Fundrise say they acquire real estate. The real estate they acquire, we hope, goes up in value. When it goes up in value, and say they sell that project, exit that project, the appreciation there, that's some of the gains. They also lend money out. So this money they lend out, they get regular income payments coming into them, and that goes into the dividend pool. So there's multiple ways you can make money from Fundrise, and Fundrise also likewise invests in different styles of projects that we're going to take a look at, and they get their returns from multiple different sources. So the type of property you'll see in Fundrise. So first we'll jump down here to number 5, so real estate lending. So that's when they take your funds, a pool of funds from a lot of different individuals, send that out and fund a project for some other investor or developer. So they're not actually acquiring the property. They actually go out and they acquire properties with your funds, and they do whatever they feel is best for the investors. So they're as the markets shift and they find different ways to make money, they're going to do whatever they feel is best. So you'll see throughout the year their investment objectives, you can see it shift because you can go on your dashboard and see what they're investing in. So the other types of properties, single family homes. Now these won't be single family homes in central Ohio that cost $60,000. These are generally going to be single family homes in Washington D.C., Los Angeles, places where the homes cost a significant amount of money to acquire, and when they're fixed up and renovated, they can take those and sell them for a very significant amount of money. So it's not your standard homes in small town America. Multifamily homes. So this is generally anywhere from 4 to 20 units. They'll go out, acquire a property like that, fix it up, put a better management team in place, raise rents if there is the ability to do that in that specific market, and basically make the overall project better and get get additional income through that gets back. Over a period of time, they might sell these properties again to get some capital gains. Retail projects. Now, this is a smaller focus of Fundrise, but occasionally you'll see them investing in, say, a strip plaza, something like that, where primary focus isn't residential real estate. And lastly, commercial projects. Very big projects, multi-unit, large residential buildings or mixed-use buildings, commercial, retail, hotels with some residential potentially on top. Things like that. Very big projects. So these types of properties are it's a wide basket, which is good, right? Because you're not focused on a single aspect or single type of property or a single area. Now, with that said, these funds they're diversified. They're not focused on any one area of the U.S. So they have what they call the heartland, which is central U.S. where they invest. Then they have stuff that's on the East Coast and West Coast. So they try to take your money and spread it over all of these different geographic locations, and that reduces concentration risk of all your funds being in the heartland and not doing anything, or everything going to Los Angeles and Los Angeles having for some reason a huge downturn in real estate prices or something like that. They spread it out to avoid situations like that. So let me jump out of the frame here and let's talk about the good and the bad. So the good, diversification, like we said, they spread it over wide portions of the U.S., lots of different projects. That's a good thing. Consistent income. I found, I've always been paid every month, whatever my share of the dividends are. So it has been very consistent, and the income's been fairly stable. As I add additional funds, it goes up, and it's been pretty stable. So that's a good thing. Ease of use, right? So if you're, investing in a local project, and, it's a lot of legwork, right? You have to, interface with contractors, work with agents, work with attorneys, deal with, the selling, the people selling, right? And negotiating, things like that. There's none of that. Fundrise does all that for you. They're experts in that. My view, at least right now where I am, I don't want to be dealing with real estate. I'd rather turn it over to the experts, let them deal with it. All right, now, as always, with the good, there's always some bad, right? So it's a liquid. What does that mean? You can't just put money in today and get it out next week. They have redemption periods. They say they like you to invest and have a 5-year, minimum 5-year horizon. So any money I put in, as long as Fundrise is still around, it's going to stay in there. I'm not taking money out. Like I said, occasionally I do have the dividends go back to my bank account, but for the most part I'm reinvesting those as well. I'm adding additional money, and this is long-term money that I've written to Fundrise. It's staying in Fundrise, and you have to have that mindset if this is what you decide to do. And these two and three kind of work together. So it's a new concept / new company, and it hasn't weathered a downturn. So stocks, a lot of mutual funds, ETFs have been around for a significant amount of time, and you can look at their prior track record. Fundrise hasn't been around that terribly long. They haven't really weathered a downturn in the economy or a downturn in the real estate market. And those are things that you'd like to see how they perform when things go south. And when things do go south, unexpected things can happen. We don't know exactly how Fundrise will perform in that. So, this kind of leads over to the next thing. Who is it good for? It's really good for established investors. If you are new to, investing, you shouldn't be dedicating any money right now to Fundrise. You're better off looking at ETF funds or an S&P 500 index fund, or just simply paper trading and not investing. But it's not... Fundrise isn't made for somebody that's new. You have to be comfortable with losing money, right? There's a little bit more risk here, and you don't want to put your last $1,000 in Fundrise. It's also good for those that have some fun money, right? So my little $5,000 investment in Fundrise, if I lose that, it's not a drop in the bucket for me, right? $5,000 is $5,000, but if I lose that, you know, I could still feed my family, I could still pay all my bills. It's not really going to impact my life that much. I would hate to lose it, but you know, it's not going to impact me one way or the other. And that has to be how you look at, if you do put money in Fundrise, you have to be able to weather, say, things go south, I lost it all. You know, if there is a downturn in the market, will you like lose everything? No, but because of the nature of this investment, because it hasn't been around a long time, you have to just understand that it is what it is, and you know, there is additional risk here, and have to look at it as like, this is my fun money, this is my, you know, money I'm going to risk on something a little bit different. And that's really how you have to view Fundrise. All right, guys, so if you have any questions, make sure you post them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to keep making these videos, and if you have any questions, I'll make videos. I do this for you guys, and I look forward to, you know, interacting with you guys in the comments. And again, tomorrow we're going to go into my Fundrise account, dig into specific projects, look at my return over the last 2.5, 3 years, and look into specific things.